Joining us, Right Stuff Radio. We just finished recording our radio show for the week, and we didn't get to everything we wanted to ask or say. We had Winston Venable, Tyler Shoemaker. Winston called in, so he's not joining us, but Jeff had some more questions for Tyler.
Well, I guess it's all around how you are thinking about the stuff like that you're good at. And have you gone through, because you said you had these questions on the wall, have you gone through and actually answered them, not in your head, but on paper?
You know, many times, and I feel like I get different answers almost every time. You know, there's some key elements that show up repeatedly, you know, helping people using, you know, physical activity or, I mean, I hate to say this, but having the opportunity to make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And all those things kind of recur. But like I said, every time, if it's a new interest or a new hobby or something that I don't know and want to continue to learn about, then I think of that as an opportunity and write it down. So it's kind of a continuing evolution. I really enjoyed this today because this is kind of, you know, I get to see people who are past this step. You know, they've done it and they've implemented that in their lives, and now I can kind of steal from them and take their ideas from you guys and hopefully, you know, start building my brand and doing those things.
Yeah.
I like how they have excitement, you know, and I think that's great because you need to have that excitement. You got to have that passion. And so the three questions Jeff was referencing to, as we talked, that Tyler brought up earlier in the radio show, is what do I love? What am I good at? And how can I help people and grow myself, right?
Correct.
So those are three questions that Tyler says he looks at.
So one idea, just as an exercise to help as you're going through it, is to turn each of those questions into a circle. And you create what's called a Venn diagram. So Venn diagrams where they overlap, right?
Okay, let me think back.
Yeah.
Second grade. Got it. Okay.
I don't go any further than second grade. Second grade's exactly. You nailed it. So the whole thing is, can you answer each of those questions in a circle, like, you know, separately, and then where they overlap, like put the, you know, basically imagine a circle and then make a list of the ones that actually overlap on all three of those and start there. And then, you know, a lot of it's back to, for me, it's like, can you execute something? Just get out there, try something, see what sticks a little bit, right? Because you never really know. You know, my idea, one of my first things that I tried was, what does Mitt Romney do? The whole private equity stuff and I had a contact, I won't go into the whole story. Oh my God, I was horrible at it. And
you lost money.
Well, I didn't lose any money, but I would have starved if I was relying on that as a way to make money. So, but I would have never known unless I just threw it out there and tried. So I think it's like you make that list, and then you can't wait because you never know what perfection is. Then you just got to try. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's a great point because when you're in business, we're always trying something new, right? Different marketing strategies, different people, different employees, you know, different business models. And I think that's one thing is when you guys are in between football seasons. It's like you're trying to figure out what is it that I want to do. When sometimes you just need to do something, and then just say, "Well, yes, if it doesn't interest you, doesn't work out, drop it, try something new." And I think that's the great thing about being an entrepreneur is you can continue trying things, learning from them, what worked, what didn't work.
I mean, did you think the smoke out? You said 9 years you've been doing it. Do you think it was going to be such a big part of your life?
See, it hasn't always. I never knew it would be the foundation of our marketing.
Yeah.
But it also wasn't always a success. We were struggling 2 years ago because of location, our brand, right? I mean, because people weren't in a warehouse. We're in a fancy place. That's not us. I'm a warehouse guy. So I think that was a big deal for us with that smoke out is what is it that we stand for? How does it help people? And then from that, how do we make money off of it?
Right. But when the story you told us, you found this freaking barbecue or whatever, right?
We turned it into a smoker.
I think a lot of stories
built
start
it into
that
an
way.
event. Yeah, and it goes back to what he said too: is how do you help people? You know, and I think as you start building your network too, you got to be a connector. Who is it that you know as well?
How can you give first?
Yep. How can you give to somebody else, and then who can you connect with? The people that you know. Like he's got a business, Net Camps, right? Net Camps does online camps registration. So how is it that the people that you know that you can help connect to Jeff, so then you can start helping them with the registration, right?
Well, that's a great example. But I mean, no matter what, the whole point of how you always just give. I think it was planting seeds, but I think you do that probably naturally. Is my sense from you?
I hope so. I mean, I feel like I've gotten some good advice, and I mean, I studied business and marketing in college. I have my degree. I have a semester towards a master's and an MBA. So I think I have some ideas about the right steps, and I'm trying to make those steps, but it's stuff like this that reaffirms those, and it makes me feel good about what I'm doing.
And if you think anybody hasn't figured out, if you think these guys have, you're totally wrong. So, like, I mean, everybody, it's all life. It's all a bunch of experimentation.
So, and something he mentioned too, and we're talking with Tyler Shoemaker, Jeff Reynolds and Myers, and Net Camps. And I think one of the things that I want to reiterate that you said earlier in the radio show was that I don't necessarily want to go out and tell people, you're a humble individual. But I think you also need to understand too, people want to hear stories, right? And you have stories. I mean, how many people dress up in blue and orange for a Boise State football game? And so you have something that you can automatically talk to anybody, because if they're a fan or not, you got a story to tell. What's it feel like, when you won that Fiesta Bowl? What is it that you feel like of different highlights or stories that we may not have ever heard of? That stuff right there will get people to remember you forever, and it automatically engages you in a conversation. Then you're connected. People want to hear that stuff, so you got to make sure you understand that, because I don't want to push my football on you.
But it doesn't have to be braggy.
No.
You can.
It's
it
stories.
is your
It's
life.
genuine
You
stories.
own your life.
Yep.
It's like the reality. It's not.
People might want to ask you, but they're afraid to ask you.
Yeah.
I think that's something where I know I was on the phone the other day with someone who wants to ask me on organic and SEO and online marketing, and they were trying to get off the phone, and I know what he was doing. It's like he's like, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to get some advice from you, and so it's like, it's okay. Let's talk about this. I'm willing to spend the time with you. So, any other questions for him?
Nothing immediate. I think it's all going to work out, so I'm not too worried about you. I think you're going to be just fine.
I think you got to dial in on something, right? In the next 2 or 3 weeks, maybe with Winston, have some fun. I mean, the two of you get along great.
Yeah, what could
Go
you do
create
that
a
would be
video.
fun?
Well, you had a really good point when you were talking about even just like a lecture or small speaking engagement. I think that Winston and I, like you said, even if we did it for a group of high school kids, college kids, whatever it would be, just to get our story out there, and
you'll refine your story.
Yeah, and Winston's experience in the NFL with the Bears and it being kind of a hard time in his life, I really relate to that, because my first year with Tampa, I dealt with injury and a lot of the same experiences, and so it's funny, he and I have had very similar careers, but at the same, and we're coming back to the same point now, but I think we're also still like, okay, how do we use those experiences, and what are we going to do to take the next step? So I think that would be fun.
Yeah, and try some.
Totally.
Right?
And just the bottom line is, let me know, and I'll connect you with guys. Whether you want anybody at the chamber, awesome. I picked up Pioneer just because he's a president of that's a buddy of mine. All these folks. So just let me know what you want to do.
Well, thank you.
Make it happen.
Awesome.
Tyler Shoemaker, Jeff Reynolds. I'm Brandon Wright, Right Stuff Radio. Look for the podcast when it comes out next Thursday on the show that we did with Winston Venable, Tyler Shoemaker, and Jeff Reynolds. It was a great show. We didn't get into everything that we wanted, but we all learned something. Thanks for joining us.